That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Another Simple Favor, the 11th film directed by Paul Feig, which premiered at the 2025 South by Southwest Film Festival. Amazon MGM Studios is releasing it direct to streaming May 1st, 2025. May Day.
Is Paul Feig Melissa McCarthy's husband?
No.
Oh.
I had assumed Mr. Feig was a homosexual, but she's married to the guy that directed her and Tammy, Ben, what's his name?
So Paul Feig did A Simple Favor.
He did the original A Simple Favor, which is based on a novel by Darcy Bell. He also directed Bridesmaids, Heat, the 2016 Ghostbusters, Spy. We reviewed his Last Christmas, and the George Michael themed Christmas movie, and The School for Good and Evil.
Okay. What is Another Simple Favor about? Stephanie Smothers and Emily Nelson reunite on the island of Capri, Italy for Emily's extravagant wedding to a rich Italian businessman, which is interrupted by murder and betrayal. What is your pull quote?
A zany, overbaked whodunit. Another Simple Favor tries too hard to tantalize with its tawdry twists, trapped by the tedium of a bloated script so desperate to amuse it suffocates its audience.
Mine. Another Simple Favor is a moderately amusing, utterly ridiculous farce that may only be serviceable for people familiar with A Simple Favor.
Well, that too, because I haven't seen the first one since it came out, and I wasn't about to rewatch it, although I remember being amused by it.
I didn't remember a single thing from A Simple Favor, so I felt a little discombobulated watching this. It doesn't help that this plot is... there is so much going on. So I'm just going to tell it from the perspective of someone who didn't remember anything. So we see that it's 5 years after the events of A Simple Favor, and Anna Kendrick plays Stephanie Smothers, and she has written a book called The Faceless Blonde about whatever happened in A Simple Favor. And she's also become popular on social media. So Stephanie Smothers, Anna Kendrick, is trying to sell her book, and she's on a tour when all of a sudden Blake Lively walks in, Emily. But we understand that Emily's in prison, so how is she out? She is getting married to this super rich Italian guy who has his fancy lawyers helping her, so she's out. And she has come to the book signing to insist that Anna Kendrick be her bridesmaid and join her in her wedding. And of course, Anna Kendrick at first says, no, I'm afraid of you. Like, you probably want to kill me after whatever I did in A Simple Favor that I don't remember. So Blake Lively threatens her like, well, or I could just sue you for using my likeness and telling my story in this book I didn't consent to. So Anna Kendrick goes to Capri. And then we see that Blake Lively's marrying this Italian man who's in the mob.
Dante, played by Michelle Morone.
And Dante's mother hates Blake Lively.
Portia, played by Elena Sofia Ricci.
So then things start going left because people start getting killed. Henry Golding's in the film, who was in the last movie. And I'm not sure the details, but I know that Blake Lively has a son by him. And they're divorced. And they hate each other. He ends up getting killed. Then Dante, the groom-to-be...
No,
Well, actually, they actually do get married. So on the night of their marriage, he gets killed. And then it's all blamed on Anna Kendrick. So then she ends up being placed on house arrest. But then we also find out that there's the world's worst FBI agent in Capri trying to protect.
Has been trailing her from the get-go.
Also, there's a detective back wherever Anna Kendrick lives in the United States who is the one who helped her in the first movie.
Yes, Detective Summerville.
And so I guess he's also been monitoring her in Capri. I don't know. But, oh my gosh. So we find out a lot of things. The first thing is that Allison Janney is in the movie.
Aunt Linda.
Aunt Linda. She's Blake Lively's aunt. And Allison Janney shows up with Blake Lively's mom, who I understand in the first movie was played by
Jean Smart. And now it's Elizabeth Perkins, who I think needs a different agent.
We can get to it. Okay, why are they there? Allison Janney is a con artist. And so she's there to try to get money. How is she going to do that? I didn't know this, but I guess it's in the first film, that Blake Lively's character is one of a triplet.
Identical triplets.
Identical triplets. And I didn't know this either, but I guess in the first movie... So we're supposed to understand that of the triplets, one of them... So they're named Hope, Faith, and Chastity. Chastity was born dead? Charity. We understand that Charity was born... like stillborn, so it's just Hope and Faith. And I guess in the first movie, Faith was killed?
Yes.
I didn't remember that. So the gag is Charity did not die at birth. Aunt Linda, who had delivered the triplets from Jean Smart, I guess, stole Charity and kept her for herself and raised her in isolation and used her like Sigourney Weaver used Jennifer Love Hewitt in Heartbreakers.
Yes.
We don't see any of it. She just tells us that.
A little grifting.
So it's Charity who did the killings. Why does she do this? Because she's an identical twin. Allison Janney had Charity marry Dante. So they had drugged Emily, Hope, Blake Lively, the original one. They had drugged her so that Charity could marry her and pretend to be her. I don't know why they wouldn't have just killed her.
I don't know.
But so now Allison Janney thinks, well, now that my daughter is married to the super rich mob family, we're going to be good. But then another gag is there's this incest storyline where Charity is obsessed with Hope. She's drugging her sister and having sex with her and believes that they are one. So in the end, there's a final confrontation where it's Allison Janney, both versions of Blake Lively, Anna Kendrick, and the damn son. And Hope convinces her sister, like, we are one. So you can't do this. So Charity kills Allison Janney, which I thought was funny because she throws her off the cliff and you see the body falling. And then Charity convinces her crazy ass sister to confess to everything as her, like as Emily.
Yes. The sweet, troubled, murderous sister, who clearly it seems like something's wrong with her the way she acts, by the way. Yeah. I don't know how she'd be any use to
Well, we need to get to that. But in the end, we see that all's well that ends well. Anna Kendrick has written a second book detailing all of this, and it's a bestseller. And she's doing interviews, and Blake Lively's Emily, Hope, is free to sort of live in the shadows. And she casually asks Anna Kendrick, can you raise my son? So Anna Kendrick's raising her son plus Emily's son. And then the final scene, which is another gag, is that Emily, Hope, is meeting with Dante's mother. And we already knew this, but the reason Emily was marrying Dante is because she's his beard. Dante is gay. And they had met 15 years prior. And so basically, because she's this beautiful woman, she could detract from Dante being in love with the rival mob family's like eldest son.
It's very gay Romeo and Juliet.
And so they've had this secret affair for 15 years. And I guess they were tired of hiding. So their solution was for Dante to marry a woman.
But they're still going to have to hide.
I didn't understand that at all. So in the end, the mother who hated Emily says, I understand what you were doing for my son. In so many ways, she admits that she knew her son was gay, and I knew that you were trying to help him, but it's because of you my son is dead, so I'm still mad, but you're still part of the family. So I need one thing from you, and that's a simple favor. And she hands her an envelope and the film ends. So I'm assuming there'll be a third film.
I hope not. I don't think we needed this one.
Okay, it started off okay because I didn't remember the first one, so I didn't realize it was so adult.
I remember the first one felt like kind of a lark. Like it was unexpectedly decent.
Well, it's cute because Anna Kendrick's character is kind of perky, and we see her initially like filming something from Capri. So the film kind of starts with the midway point. And so I thought she was cute, and then she has her little like gay buddy at
and
her kid. Yeah, like it was all sort of cute, and then Anna Kendrick's like assistant
Alex Newell, Vicky.
who I thought was cute. So it was all like a cute start.
I thought they had nothing to do.
No, they don't. But initially I thought it was cute. But as the story progresses and becomes more convoluted, then it just felt like y'all are trying so hard. This is so ridiculous.
It felt really contrived. And I feel like how Blake Lively's characters are written, it's trying too hard to come to. It just never comes to life.
Okay.
Despite the fashion she gets to have on it.
Well, that was my next note. But just continuing with things didn't work for me. I think this plot is so busy and overly complicated, trying too hard. I don't like the way the film looks. It looks like your average, like, glossy streamer. They're in Capri, and it reminds me of, what's the movie with Lady Gaga? House of Gucci. Where it's just like, oh, you're in this fabulous setting, and it didn't feel that decadent. It's like somehow they made Capri look like green screen. I don't know.
It did look a little pretty green screeny. It was shot by John Schwartzman, who's an Oscar-nominated director of photography back in the day for Seabiscuit. But yeah, it felt like too glossy all the way around. Like when you buy a beautiful cupcake at the store and it tastes like chemicals. That's what this felt like.
I did like Blake Lively's fashions. She has one at her like reception, or like she has some sort of like rehearsal dinner or lunch. I don't know what it was, some sort of daytime event. But she's wearing this flower top, like this lavender flower top, I think, that was stunning. But all of her outfits, even at the very end, she's sitting at this fountain.
The Trevi fountain. I don't know.
Wearing this chain link,
jewels,
the fitted gown, and it's so ridiculous, but she looks fabulous.
Just like casually sitting there.
Her wedding dress, which is actually her crazy twin sister getting married, I thought that wedding dress was fabulous, and the train that sort of was punctuated with what looked like blood.
Well, she's got that like tight leather bodice going on.
And then these like
white leather.
And these boots. I mean, she looked amazing.
She did, but this performance was not giving.
I think Anna Kendrick's cute.
She's cute, but again, it's so one-dimensional. It wears thin really fast, and I think it's not either actor's fault. I think the writing's just trying really hard, because there's one scene where Anna Kendrick is given truth serum by Dante's mother, and she, bless her, she is trying to work her way through that scene.
She's just rambling on, and it was hard to sit through.
No, yeah, it goes on too long, and the writing is humorless.
Okay, so Dante's mother hates Emily. So she does not want her to marry her son. So at this whatever daytime event before the wedding, Dante's mom brings Emily's mom, like surprises Emily with her mom, who shows up with Allison Janney. But the mom...
Well, first of all, even that moment is like a bitter Italian fading beauty mother-in-law that hates the daughter-in-law. That's comedy. That should be comedy, a recipe for comedy gold right there. And
I didn't think the actor playing the mom was very good with her dialogue in English.
Yeah, I agree.
It was pretty rough.
But she's been around since the 80s and been in many notable Italian films.
But the mom, who plays the mom?
Which mother? Portia?
Blake Lively's mom.
Oh, I have said the name Elizabeth Perkins so many times, and you were like, who's that? We also just rewatched her in The Ring 2, which she has a throwaway role in that. That's why I think she pops up so unexpectedly in weird ways. In her youth, she was known for Big. But it's like, why these films?
I know her hair is supposed to look fake because it's like a joke in the movie, but I just don't understand why she looks so crazy.
But what was the payoff?
I don't know.
We don't see her without the wig.
We don't see her. Well, at one point we see her kind of adjust her wig, and I'm like, so you made this actor look ridiculous for one slight gag? I'd be mad. But the mom is supposed to be legitimately mentally ill. She's just mumbling nonsense and thinks her husband's still alive even though he's dead. I guess I understand why Allison Janney brought her, because why would she show up without the mother? I
guess, but she didn't have to do that. She could say your mom's sick and she's a drunk and in a nursing home. Like, I left her in the U.S. Anything. It didn't need... And then you have Elizabeth Perkins, like, holed up in her hotel room screaming at the TV about how they need to speak English. This writing
Well, when we first meet her, she's screaming in front of all the wedding guests that Blake Lively as Emily is evil. But then we come to learn that the mother's not as crazy as we think she is, because she does know that she had triplets and the one, Charity, really didn't die. But for some reason can't, all these years couldn't articulate that until this moment. But so as the audience, I was confused. Like, why did she think her daughter's evil? And then she mentioned something about, I know you, to Alice and Janney, something about my dead daughter, but maybe she's not dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd have to imagine that if a sibling of mine took one of my babies and we continued a relationship, that there'd be some sign that the kid's living with. I don't know.
Henry Golding shows up to this wedding and says that he's been court ordered to show up because of custody issues.
I don't understand that.
I mean, so let's just say it makes sense. He shows up and is talking so loose and crazy.
Oh, he's so out of
to
pocket.
what is clearly a mob family. Mm-hmm. And he's getting drunk. He's causing a scene. And then we see him at the end of the night, like on that first night, having been drinking. He's drinking like brown liquor out the bottle in this huge shower. And then we see someone come and kill him.
Well, and then he's furiously masturbating.
He's masturbating, and I thought it was funny the way it was captioned, because it said like skin smack. It sounded very violent, whatever he was doing, and then it also sounded like he couldn't get an erection, which they had already made fun of him earlier for having a small penis. I don't know.
But you're also drunk. Okay.
But he dies, and then of course the police come and go, oh, it was an accident, when clearly it's not. Whatever drug he was given caused him to bleed from all his orifices.
Give me some Ebola Zaire up in
And
here.
then Anna Kendrick, who's this true crime person, is saying like, well, clearly this was not an accident. And the detective's saying, this family, this mob family is very respectable. So clearly they're saying like, we're not going to try to make anything out of this. But I thought it was funny that the next day, like now that the wedding's supposed to happen, Emily, Blake Lively's son, is there. I think his name is Nicky. Mm-hmm. His dad just died.
And they're like, you okay,
like not
kid?
Even 12 hours earlier. Mm-hmm. And Blake Lively goes, you okay? Everything okay?
And she also hasn't seen him for 5 years.
And she hasn't seen him in 5 years.
Okay.
I haven't seen my son in 5 years, and your dad died violently last night. And
the only thing we learn about the kid is he likes to have his hair Kool-Aid red on the tips and plays with drones, which comes in handy.
I thought the writing of the son was not the best.
The writing of many people in this was not the best, yeah.
Okay, so then at the wedding, Dante gets up, like at the wedding, like reception dinner, and pulls out the prenuptial agreement and burns it. To me, that makes no sense to the plot.
Well, also, what is Sigourney Weaver saying? Heartbreakers, like, is binding answer. Like, isn't this already filed in the courts? Like, you just burned the document, but that doesn't mean it's not valid.
I also didn't understand all this emphasis on the two mob families and like trying to create peace
at the wedding. Like,
the wedding, why peace between two families when those two families aren't getting married?
Exactly. And all this talk about bringing an American into the family business, it's like, who can... Like,
and if you've had this, like, undercover gay relationship with this guy, why are you drawing so much attention by, like, saying we need to have peace and you're constantly going back and forth? That didn't make any sense to me.
Same.
Then Dante gets murdered and Anna Kendrick witnesses, and that's when we realize, oh, it's a setup, because now Allison Janney and Blake Lively, who we think is Emily, are like consoling each other when we already knew that they don't even really know each other like that. But then we don't find out till like 45 minutes later that it's her evil triplet sister. I think the funniest moment and character in the movie is after the two murders, Anna Kendrick's put on house arrest. Mm-hmm. And then that's when we're introduced to Blake Lively as Charity, but we don't know it's Charity. Basically telling Anna Kendrick, like, you need to just confess to everything you did. And so that sister sets up Anna Kendrick, like, pretending that she stabbed her, blah, blah, blah. So now Anna Kendrick has to find out a way to get out of this hotel room that she's in lockdown in. And so I thought the funniest moment in character was the housekeeper,
who is sent to give her a message from the woebegone FBI agent.
Yeah, the dumbest FBI agent you've ever seen has tipped this housekeeper $10 to go give Anna Kendrick a message. And the only reason the housekeeper agreed to do it is because she has a grudge against the police because they keep arresting her husband for stealing chickens, even though he's just borrowing them. Which that line alone to me is the funniest line of the movie.
That lady is the funniest bit in this movie.
Yeah, because she could speak English with a heavy Italian accent, and the way Anna Kendrick is speaking to her is like she doesn't understand. I thought that entire sequence was the best part.
And she sneaks Anna Kendrick out of the room and lets her borrow her cell phone. But yeah, she's the funniest moment.
Anna Kendrick's on house arrest, having been accused of murdering 2 people. Like, this is not looking good. And somehow that lady did full hair and makeup on herself.
Yeah.
If you were on house arrest fearing for your, life, would you take the time?
I don't know. Let's rewind these tapes and see what Amanda Knox did.
I thought that was kind of silly. They should have at least had her in a ponytail. Her hair was fully done.
Yes. She was beat.
Okay, the FBI agent. I had forgotten about her. We get glimpses of her in the beginning, sort of following Anna Kendrick back home in the U.S. when she's doing her book signing. Then we see her in Capri. Anna Kendrick confronts her at a cafe. Then there's a weird moment between Dante and Anna and the FBI agent, which, looking back, served no purpose.
Exactly, especially once we come to find out about Dante. But the FBI agent's like, I thought you didn't see me, which almost could be like the actor talking to the screenwriters.
Again, that truth serum scene was painful to sit through.
Yeah.
It just wasn't funny. I did think it's unfortunate because you have some gonzo stuff in here. You have the gay relationship between these 2 mob people and Blake Lively being the beard. Then you have the incest storyline. It's just a little too out there to not be more I just wanted to be shocked and like, wow, this is wild.
And Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick on a Vespa. You know what? A film that actually hit on the tone that we probably liked a lot more was that bizarre Aubrey Plaza film, Spin Me Round.
Oh, sure.
Directed by her late husband, Jeff Baena, which I remember liking that film a lot more than this. And it kind of had that off-centeredness that worked quite well.
One other thing I was confused about that maybe someone can comment below is I didn't understand why Hope and Charity both had the same wrist tattoo. Because we're told Charity never grew up with her sister. So did she just get a tattoo to match her sister for the wedding?
Well, I thought that's how Anna Kendrick could tell from the photograph in the thrift shop that wasn't,
When Charity confronts with the all black, like grieving, that's when Anna Kendrick sees her tattoo. But it's a tattoo that's not her wrist. It looks like a heart on her forearm, which I didn't notice either. The tattoo situation was confusing to me to the point where I wonder if it was an oversight.
I don't know.
That they forgot that they shouldn't have the same wrist tattoo. But that's a small fish to fry in an overall film that I thought was too ridiculous to not be more funny.
No, it's been overstirred and overdone and with too many elements. I think they, like the title alludes to, simple. We need something simpler.
So if they make a third one, what would the title be?
The simplest
favor? What would you give another simple favor?
2.
I would give it 2 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.